Teacher Mido. 3, 2, 1, go.
Teacher Brandon, thank you so much for everything.
1, go.
Teacher Brandon, your education is just like your height. I love you and I miss you, Teacher Jess. You are just like my second parent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
2, 1, go.
สวัสดีค่ะทิสแบรนด์ you are handsome and kind you have a sweet voice เนาะ you are tall you are rich for our current people thank you for loving us ขอบคุณค่ะ
3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah, brother, we thank you so much for your hard working and for your kindness. We all love you so much. We all miss you, Thailand.
Is very kind. He took me to the hospital where I got
Teacher
hurt.
Brenda and Teacher Jessica are dedicated people for our school.
Yes, they really are. I think if they could, they will want to make more hours and day instead of 24 hours. They will want to work for 30 hours. I'm not sure. They work for school and they also try to help other people in the community when they need it.
Teacher Jessica family in Thailand. We are so thankful to stay in your house. We miss you.
Miss you, teacher Jet. Miss you. Titi. Teacher Jet. Sabi niya ba hala mo talo? Miss you, teacher.
3, 2, 1, go.
Teacher, you look like a Tira. Teacher, you are beautiful and smart, but you don't have a brother.
1, go.
Teacher, you are the most beautiful in the world. Whoa! And I also have a crush on you. Whoa!
3.
Teacher, you are our inspiration. We don't want to be single like you.
What would you describe Ramu Jessica in one word?
She is kind she is beautiful
Teacher, I love you. Nice.
she look like Barbie I love you
Hello. Do we need anyone to introduce us? Can we start? Where's Pastor? We are it. All right. So, first of all, I'd like to thank my Uncle Robin for putting that together. Our students had very nice things to say about us, about how we're single, how we're going to die alone, and how they don't want to be like us, just like them. So, yeah, they miss us. They miss us because we're bringing chocolate for them. Okay, well, I'm Brandon. This is Jessica. I think most people know me, know of us. We grew up in this church, and we've been coming back every couple of years. And the last time we were here was just after COVID, and we were talking to each other about, well, what are we going to do? Should we say the same things? Because I know, like, if we're coming here, like, once every few years, it's going to be fresh in your mind for, like, a week, and then probably, oh, what's that? Because even for me, when I was putting this together for our school, it's like, oh, yeah, that's how many students we have. Oh, yeah, that's what we do. Oh, I forgot that I do that. So some of it will be a refresher, but we also asked for some questions from the people in the church to give us an idea of what you want to know. And as we were looking at the questions, we realized that we haven't really, because every time we come back, we try to say so many things, and I stand and talk here very quickly for a long time, but a lot of things that are really essential and very important, we don't get to say. So I think based on the questions, before we even start talking about us or talking about our school, we kind of want to give a little background for people about the people that we are working with, because that's very central to the identity of our school and our new identities. As you can see, we're both wearing traditional garments. Now this is not Sandy, this is my parents. My students got me this for my birthday last year, and I like it, yeah. And I think Jess will probably get one this year because it was a new idea, so hopefully they do a good job. But they, like we talk a lot there while we're there about how we couldn't be with them, we couldn't be teaching there without the help and support of our parents and the help and support of our church back home. So I think it's really fitting to have this. And also, it's a little funny to have a picture of your parents on your shirt in public. So I like to roll with it. Like we say at Thumiki, everyone has to be a little bit crazy, otherwise you can't survive in that kind of environment. Okay, so Uncle Robin, can you play the first video? This is an organization that works with Karen people on the Myanmar side. I'll try to explain it succinctly about the political climate and the conflict climate there, but this will give you kind of a shock, like a glimpse of what it's like in our area of the world, in our specific people that we're working with.
The military junta in Myanmar, also known as Burma, is intensifying its attacks against Christians and other ethnic minorities. Chuck Holton recently witnessed the brutal crackdown, which included airstrikes and artillery assaults on Christian civilians. He brings us this report as he accompanied the Free Burma Rangers into the combat zone.
Deep in the mountains of eastern Burma, gunfire echoes through Christian villages. The Burmese army is driving thousands from their homes as it seeks to crush opposition to the 2021 coup. Rebel armies, though, are slowly liberating village after village.
Right now, we are attacking to Loikaw, the capital city of the Karenni state. Before that, the Burma army put in their troops surround that Loikaw because Loikaw is the main command center of all their troops. So we are right now attacking to Loikaw, their main center. So we are pushing them back. So they have to fall back all the time.
For years, the Burmese army has committed atrocities against civilians, deliberately targeting churches and other religious sites. The people living in these villages in the mountains of Burma still live pretty primitive lives. You can tell by the huts that they live in. They're just made of split bamboo. Most of them don't have electricity or running water. And so you might be surprised to find a giant Baptist church built on the top of the hill in this very remote place in the mountains of Burma. But that's because most of these hill tribes are actually Christian. They were converted to Christianity by the very first Baptist missionary, Adoniram Judson, in the end of the 19th century. And that's one of the reasons why there has been this conflict ongoing between them and the Buddhist military junta who controls the country.
This church and this village lost over 100 homes burned and destroyed, and over 100 landmines found, including in the church property, including in the church.
Despite the danger, the NGO called the Free Burma Rangers is using its resources to evacuate civilians and deliver life-saving relief. During the mission, Burmese MiG fighter jets supplied by Russia hunted the group.
So we have a recon plane flying over, trying to find this convoy, I'm pretty sure. We've been going this all day. Normally they fly, after that will come airstrikes, airplanes. And then these planes can also drop mortars.
Many of the minority groups have taken up arms, resisting the dictatorship for decades. Now, their aging weaponry is no match for the junta's modern arsenal. So this is an M16A1 rifle,
okay,
and you can tell how old it is by looking at all the bluing.
Just kind of give you an idea of what's been happening. This video is only a few months old. The organization they're talking about is called Free Burma Rangers. Dave Eubanks, the guy who was talking, I think you've met him, Jess, right? He's around our area, but what they do is they work with the army and they go into the conflict areas and help people get out. And what we've seen for the past few years is that the conflict has, in certain areas, it'll bubble up and there will be like soldiers moving in and airplanes and jet planes, and then it'll go to another area. It kind of skips around. So it's not like an all-out civil war, but for the past 70 years, there has been conflict between the Karen people and the Myanmar government. And so most people who have heard of the Karen know about them because of this, because of the conflict, because they came as refugees. I would not be in Thailand if it were not for this conflict, because over 200,000 Karen people now live across America, in Chicago, in Green Bay, in Syracuse. I spent the last 2 weeks going from community to community, and they've been here for about 15 years, so they're starting to kind of develop their own identity, their own presence within America. But there are a lot more still back in Myanmar, and that's where our school comes in. But before we start to talk about our school, can you go back to the PowerPoint? I want to talk about the history of Christianity among Karen people. So we're going to have a little bit of a history lesson. I know we just ate. It's in the afternoon. If you're a teacher, you know this is the worst time to be teaching because everyone wants to sleep, including the teacher. But I'll try to go through it and get you a good understanding, because some of the questions people asked were, well, what does Karen, when you tell the Karen people the gospel, how does it affect them given their culture? But the thing is, Karen people have been Christians for longer than a lot of our families might have been Christians. Because the first, okay, getting ahead of myself. Okay, anyway, this is what happens. So this is, if you're not sure where Thailand and Myanmar are, you can see the red one and the, it's okay? The red one and the tan one, and then we're right there in the border area there. So a lot of the conflict is happening all along the border here. A couple of years ago, we actually saw the fighter jets. We're in Thailand, so we're not in direct danger from the fighter jets and the conflict, but most of our students are from over there, so they've had to flee. Last summer, a lot of them weren't able to go back because the roads were closed from time to time. But the thing is, the conflict has been happening for so long for them, it's kind of a part of life. So even in the schools, they'll study during the day, but under the school, they'll they'll dig out a ditch for the kids. Like if the army comes or if the airplanes come, everyone get in the ditch. Okay, the airplanes are gone, back to school. It's kind of a part of life for them. So it's something that people know about, but it doesn't really define them. For them, it's not like, oh, what a tragic life we lead. No, they're normal kids. They're normal students. They have dreams. They're working hard to reach those dreams, but they just have a lot more challenges than kids growing up in America. Okay, so anyway, Karen people, they're native to, the story goes that they're native to Mongolia, but some people say they're one of the lost tribes of Israel. I know there are some ethnic groups around the world that have a claim, and Karen people actually have some evidence that would suggest that, but it's hard to know what happened way back then. There's about 5 to 10 million, which is not a small number. Actually, the country of New Zealand has 5 million people. So the Karen population worldwide is bigger than a lot of recognized countries. But for them, because of their situation, because of their history, they don't have a land to call their own. They're kind of stuck in the middle. Traditionally, they're farmers, they grow rice, and also the culture and the language is completely different. That's something that's kind of hard to grasp because we think, oh, you're in Thailand, you must know Thai. No, Karen has nothing to do with Thai. The language, the writing, everything is completely different. It would be like, oh, you're from America, Mexico is right next door. Do you speak Spanish? Like English and Spanish, they're not even remotely similar. They have some words that they might use in common, but it's completely different history. They just happen to live in the same area. Okay, and then traditionally, they believe, because they're from the mountain, because they're in tune with the environment, the traditional beliefs, like a lot of native ethnic groups, like the moon and the stars, the tree spirits, the river spirits, that's kind of the religion that they developed over the centuries. But there was something a little bit different in there. The idea of Yua, no? If I say Yua, it sounds a little bit like Yahweh. No, that's where the Israel, like, I don't know if that's where it came from, but Yah has been in their oral history for centuries and centuries. And they have a very old story about 3 brothers, the older brother, the middle brother, and the younger brother. The Karen are the middle brother. The middle brother went out, the father gave each brother a book. The older brother, which is the Burmese, they didn't care about the book, they lost the book. The middle brother, the Karen, they went out to work in the fields, left the book at home. It rained, or it either rained or someone stole the book. But anyway, they came back, the book was gone. The younger brother had a book. And the younger brother was lost. The younger brother in the story just so happened to be white. So the idea is the younger brother was the missionary coming back to bring the book that was meant for Karen people that they lost, and that book was the Bible. So when missionaries first came to Karen, the first missionary who came to Burma was Adoniram Judson, who also happened to be one of the very first American missionaries to go anywhere. But he started working with the Burmese ethnic group. He made a Burmese dictionary. He did so many things with Burmese, but he couldn't get people to convert. They were against anything that came from Western. They didn't like the colonial leaders, so they were very resistant. But once he started working with Karen people, they were so much more receptive to the gospel. And for him, like, when people call us missionaries, I feel a little bit shy about that, because when I think of missionaries, I think of like Adoniram Judson. Okay, we're going to get on a boat. We're going to ride on the boat for 6 months. We're going to take everything that we need for the next 20 years, and we're going to live in that place. Like for Adoniram Judson, he had a wife. He went there. She got sick. She couldn't live there, so his wife just went back. No, but he stayed. So really cut off. Nowadays, I don't do it enough, but we can just like click a button and we can see our parents' face halfway across the world. So the sacrifices that people made in the past are so much more than the sacrifices that we make today. But because of those sacrifices, we have the opportunity. We are reaping the reward of what people planted in the past, people like Adoniram Judson. Okay? And through Adoniram Judson's mission, it would not have spread nearly as much. From America, we tend to kind of lionize missionaries, like, oh, this person brought the gospel to this place. But we don't see it as God's plan. God brought the gospel to this place. God chose Karen people to continue to carry the gospel. One of the people that God chose to carry the gospel was a murderer, a serial murderer. They say that he killed maybe 30 people when he was younger because he really hated the Burmese. So anytime he saw a Burmese person, he would kill them and steal everything that they had. And then because of that, he became a slave, and a missionary bought him. And as he learned from the missionary, he saw the error of his ways and became, for the rest of his life, he became a missionary to his own people and to other people around. So a lot of the groundwork for us working with Karen, we're not bringing them the gospel. They have the gospel. We're going together to work together with them to do gospel work. So it's kind of funny, on Wednesday, I think Mike, something came up like Sweet Hour of Prayer, and you were singing Sweet Hour of Prayer, and I was going to sing it. I was like, Sweet Hour of Prayer. Da, da. I didn't know the words. But in Karen, Datuka pa asagato, like it came right into my head. And the same hymns that we sing here, they're singing over there. So it's kind of a shared history, but the Christianity amongst the Karen today is the same, is very uniquely Karen and has been passed down from generation to generation. Until today, about a third of Karen are Christian. Okay, so it's not like they all became Christians overnight. It caught on more in some areas, but we can see there's still the mission field. And actually at our school, that's kind of when people ask us, do you teach at a Christian school? Yes, like most of the teachers are Christian, but we don't call ourselves a Christian school because that would eliminate our ability to, because of the history of the area, it's complicated. So we welcome all religions into our school. As Christians, we teach with Christian values. We discuss, there's nothing that we can't discuss in class, so I bring up Jesus in class, but it's not like, oh, if you're here, you have to be a Christian, you have to do this and that. We don't teach Bible in the school, but we have Bible after. So it's not technically a Christian school, but very much rooted in the mission. Okay, and if we look at the legacy of education amongst Karen people, through the missionaries, working together with the locals to make a script to translate the Bible, but that script they still use today, the reading and writing they still use today, establishing schools, but then those schools were, after World War II, when the missionaries were kicked out and the English went back to England, those schools were outlawed. They were not allowed to teach or speak or learn to read and write Karen. They would go around, and if they saw someone writing in Karen language, they would cut off their hand as a message to the rest of the people in the village, because you are not your people, you are Burmese. That is our country. You have to respect our country. So even now until today, that's kind of the root of the conflict. The Burmese government trying to either assimilate, or if you go by definition, it's genocide, cultural genocide. So in the areas where people will not submit, they kill. They burn the villages. They burn the churches. In the areas where people are willing, they try to remove any trace of who the Karen people are. So 70 years of that has kind of led us to now. But one of the other questions we got about Christianity and Karen culture, wanted to know, like, how is it different from, because we don't tend to see our own culture reflected in our Christianity. We think, oh, the Bible said it, so we follow the Bible. Everything we do, that's what Jesus told us to do, right? Okay, well, why did we don't sit in pews anymore, but why did people sit in pews for so long? Is that from the Bible? But I grew up thinking, like, a church has to have pews, right? Yeah, we have to have pews. What about communion? We got to have these shiny things, right? We have to have the little cups. That's communion, right? Has to be a shiny cup. When I went to college, I went to another church, and they had like a goblet. It's like, whoa, they call themselves Christians. Where are their tiny cups? Like those things we think that they're so rooted in the culture, so rooted in the Bible, but actually very heavily influenced by the culture. So one of the questions was, what can Karen Christianity tell to Western Christianity? So what can Americans learn? And we were talking about it last night, because we didn't want to say, wait, oh, you guys don't do this right. You guys don't do this right. Our church is better at doing this. No, just like a lot of things that I've seen, like even a couple weeks ago, after church, some people stayed for a picnic. That kind of fellowship, that's everywhere in Karen culture. The village is the church is the village. Everything is together. When they have celebrations, like a birthday, if you have a birthday, it's not like invite your friends, they bring presents, play games. No, you invite the pastor comes and prays for your child, and then you feed the village. So everything kind of revolves around food, but also revolves around fellowship, of people spending time together. And that's a very central part of Karen culture, that is part of Karen Christianity. And actually, if we look in the Bible, we see, like in Acts, when the first churches, they were always eating together, singing together. A lot of it seemed like, just like, we're together, let's praise God together. So that's one thing. In America, not Country Bible Church, but in America, we're so controlled by time. Now, time is start at this time. Even now, like if we go a little bit long, people are starting to kind of look at the clock. Like, I just went to a Karen church last week. I talked for 3 hours, and nobody said anything. I'm not going to talk for 3 hours, but things like that, like it's just like everything is regimented, and church is this time. Okay, but for them, like, if church goes long, you move the other thing. Like, the culture is more free like that, and obviously, we love efficiency. Efficiency is good. We need it for certain things, but also it's kind of, sometimes we feel like we're on the clock when we don't need to be on the clock. So that's one thing about being American that I didn't, it wasn't really hard for me to adapt to, because I've always been late for everything. And like we say Karen time, like Liberia time, right? Liberia time, you start at 1, you'll start maybe 1:30, people start to come in, maybe 2. So it has its advantages and disadvantages, but it's definitely different. And then if we look at the Karen, one thing that everyone can learn from the Karen is the belief, the faith in God, that God is still with them. Because you would think, like, so many years crying out in the wilderness. I think the last time we were here, I compared it in Jeremiah about where are you, God? When will you come? When will we be able to go back to the promised land? For years and years, for generations and generations. But their faith is still strong. Their faith is growing stronger. You think like, oh, you don't see the result. You don't, like, they hope to have their own country. They hope to have autonomy. They hope that future generations will not have to run. But if they still do, they still believe in God. If someone burns down the church, they worship in the jungle. So that's one thing that's really inspired me and continues to inspire me. Because for us, like if we compare to what's happening across the border, we live pretty poshly over there. Like we have a roof over our head all the time. We never have to worry about anything disrupting. Like it's so much better. And our students coming from there, like we all kind of forget because their parents are going through it. Like when we hear the bombs across the river, some of them, they're thinking, oh, my dad's over there. Oh, my mom's over there. So even though we're not directly in it, we know that it's happening all the time. And we have to remind ourselves, like, God has given us a special blessing to be able to be here and to give hope for the future. So that is Karen people now. If most people, like I said, most people know about their suffering, but today I want you to get a glimpse of the hope and hopefully get a little inspiration from their hope. So I guess that's technically the introduction. So can you show the second video? And then you can see what's happening at Thum Ki School. And this video is from a couple years ago. Our students made it. We had a competition with the students, and the students made it and made a video better than we've ever made. So we're going to show you their video. But things have changed quite a bit even since this video.
Hi. Let me tell you one inspiring story of how opportunities are found in difficulties. In between Burma's war zone and Thailand, Tak Province, there is a very small Karen community called Thum Ki. 20 years ago, there were a lot of children who fled the war from their homeland, Karen State, and entered Thailand in the search of a temporary safety. As the war continues, these children couldn't return to their homeland. They also have no Thai identity card. They cannot read and write Thai language, so they cannot go to study in Thai government school. So, in response to this, on 15 August 2002, Thum Ki School was established mainly for these so-called children who are really hungry for education. At the time, Thum Ki School only has 2 kindergarten classes and 1 grade 1 class, 4 teachers, and 79 students. Students had to study in a small house because there were no school building. However, within just 20 years, Thum Ki grew from 79 students to over 1,000 students, from 4 teachers to over 40 teachers including staff, from a small house to a number of school buildings, from kindergarten to higher education like post-10th, Bachelor of Liberal Art, and even Bible school. Now Thum Ki has primary school, high school, and BLA, a 5-year course, which provides students with higher level educations like social science, politics, and education majors. Thum Ki School also has dormitory for boys and girls, especially for those students whose villages are in a great distance. Thum Ki doesn't depend only on the help of the foreign donors. We also cultivate the land for agricultural purpose.
Hello, my name is Strakri. I love education.
Every year, students eat fresh and organic vegetables from these fields. When it comes to the topics of religion, Thum Ki doesn't discriminate against any religions, but because it was established with the help of overseas Christian communities, so it also provided students with a church where students can develop their spiritual growth. However, no students were forced to convert into Christianity. Thum Ki is not created only for the ethnic Karen.
Welcome to Thum Ki. My name is Guido.
I am the headmaster.
It is multicultural, diverse community where everyone can come and be educated. Even though majority of students are Shokoran, we also have Bokoran, Wekoran, Bami students study all together in peace and harmony.
Welcome to Dumeki.
Dumeki has selfless volunteers who dedicated their lives for Dumeki. They stay here more than 10 years with zero salary. Here I introduce you to Mr. Brandon. Now we have over 1,000 students. Students elect their own president democratically through vote. We have a students' president. We also have 10 students' committees. And they are sport, media, music, finance, education, maintenance, health, hospitality, social, and cleaning committees. But hold on, wait. Don't get me wrong. TMK still has many problems. Our greater challenge is our education and accreditation. We are not legally recognized by Thai authority. Our degrees cannot be accepted by Thai education. Hopefully, in the near future, we will be fully recognized by Thai authority. TMK has many problems, but within these problems, there lies plenty of opportunities. In the midst of difficulty and uncertainty, with a positive attitudes, TMK has managed to come this far. But still, there is a long way to go until our mission is completed.
Presented by Group 3. Now there were a few other groups, but their video was the best by far. And actually the voice, just hearing the voice, I'm getting goosebumps because the girl who did the voice is actually teaching now, and she's teaching my classes while I'm here. So everything is kind of coming full circle. And you notice that they talked about religion in the video, and like it's like we want to be careful. Like, not that we're ashamed to declare the gospel. Like, we want to be realistic, and it's hard to explain. Like, whenever I start to talk about, because we don't want to say like, oh, we don't, because we're very involved in the church. You saw the church and the school are directly connected, and actually through coming to the school, we've had quite a few who have accepted Jesus and who even have gone on to Bible school through that. So it's very much a community centered around Christ. And as you saw in the video, like there's a lot of people there, but there have been some changes happening now. If you look, this is from our graduation last year, and if you look at our faces, I don't know if should think, oh, like we're doing so, we should be really excited. No, this picture makes me laugh because I think we were both feeling the same way, because whenever there's an end, there's also a new beginning. So I know that our brains were full, and this is what we were looking at when we were standing on stage. That's our entire hall. And it's full of graduates. Even like the visitors couldn't even sit in the the graduation hall. So Jess is going to tell us some of the things, like the things that we actually do and what's been going on in the school in the past few years, the past 2.5 years since we were here last.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. So like Brandon said, I'm going to talk a little bit about what we're doing. But with that picture, we love being there. You might not be able to tell from the picture, but the president who was standing next to us had just, like, graduation becomes long. You see all those names. They have to call one by one. So he started having a conversation with us about, oh, next year we can do this. And he really wanted us to start a master's program. We haven't finished our master's yet. And he's asking us to run a program for our students. So anyway, that was in our minds, and we're looking at them, and so you can see how we would feel a little overwhelmed at that time. Okay, but here's some numbers. I like numbers, and I know Brandon likes numbers, so we put them on the slide so you can see starting, the school started in 2002, so you heard, but we don't have all the way back there. But these are the numbers starting from 2015 going until now this year. And when we came to see you last, it was in 2021, 2022, right? Is that when we were here? So we were still doing online because of COVID. We were doing hybrid, some in person, and then some online at the same time. And when we went back and we had registration, we opened it, we weren't sure what it would look like, and we had over 1,000, and that was a lot. And we were figuring out how are we going to do this. We were excited to be back into it. It was a little bit rocky because we were still being made to kind of do health and safety things. We weren't sure what we had to do. But we made it through the year. We were really excited. We were rolling again. We had our students there preparing for the upcoming year. Figuring we were going to get a few more students and thinking about how can we work that out. So we had enrollment the following year, and we didn't really think about it. We just said, okay, we'll do it for a week. We'll open it on Monday, close it on Friday. We told our students who had already been there, you don't need to pre-enroll, just come. Like, we didn't expect what we got. But I remember the first day of enrollment, we had a line just, I don't even know how long I was stuck at a desk, but 999 new students enrolled on that Monday. And then we were kind of taken aback by, okay, it's going to be changed this year. We're going to have definitely a different year. We were thinking about teachers. Do we have enough? What are our class sizes going to be? And then we had just managed to drag ourselves through that year. You saw the photo. We were told we need to do all this other stuff. Our president was actually saying, let's double it. Let's get 4,000. And okay, you say that. I'm praying to God, please don't listen to him. I don't want 4,000. But as you can see, we added another 1,000. So this year now we have, I think, just over, around, or under, I'm not sure, 3,000 students. And so you saw the place they're in. It looks a little bit different, but it's just amazing that, you know, God brought us over there, Brandon 15 years ago, me 7 or 8 years ago, and we both can serve him there, and it looks different than, I guess, what I grew up thinking of as a missionary. Like, oh, they go and they share the gospel everywhere. Everything they do, they're evangelizing, and that's true, but it's not always with words. A lot of it is with actions, and like Brandon said, we're not there preaching at them and teaching them. We're learning from them and partnering with them to share the gospel, and it's an awesome feeling. Oh, that was a question. Someone asked, what's the best thing and worst thing about being a missionary? They had sent the question, and I was thinking and reflecting on that, and I thought, just being able to see God's plan in a bigger picture, because we're here and it's great, and you can see God's plan. But when you go to different cultures and you see different people worshiping, and you can see like how small the world actually is through God, and it was just amazing to be there. I was in Australia before, so I just have some idea of just the bigger picture. I can't even grasp it, but just being able to see God at work and how Country Bible Church can make such an impact on Thumwiki and what we're doing there. So these are the numbers we have this year. Okay, so we have 2,940 Students, we broke it up into primary, middle school, high school, and then BLA. BLA, and Brandon will talk about it more, is our university level, and that's where you'll see where both of us spend most of our time. In the dormitory, so we have a dormitory there, we have 400 students. That's as many students as we can take. We built very quickly with some plywood, another dormitory for some students to move into. But like you saw in the video before, in my house, we had 20 people, and then they built a little makeshift house, and now 8 of them moved out, 2 of them went back, and we have 10 people in my house. So the dormitory is very full, but every house also has students living inside the houses. We have over 100 teachers. So in that video, she said we had 40. And then the next year, we might have gone up to about 50. We had to double our teacher number for this year just to take on the extra. And 60 of those, like Brandon was saying, he heard Edatu's voice, and she was a student at that time, and now she's teaching for us. So 60 of those have stayed at our school and have planned for a year or 2 to give back and be able to teach their younger brothers or sisters. Total for Thumwiki, there's over 1,000 graduates. That's starting again in 2002. And now, how many did we graduate last year? 50. For BLA, was 50, but you saw the hall was full. And now our class sizes are almost as many as the people sitting, so we're gonna just continue to grow and grow and grow. 30 of our students have graduated from higher education places either in Thailand or Nagaland or the Philippines. So they had the opportunity, whether through getting their GED, to go over and study and graduate. And a lot of them have come back and are now serving in the community and helping. And then 15 teachers, including the 2 of us, are currently studying at postgraduate levels. So again, in the video, she said our major problem is we don't have accreditation from the Thai government. So our goal and our hope for our students is they can have that accreditation and be able to do further study and continue their education because they see the importance of education. And I know for me, I never planned or wanted to get my master's. I still don't want it, but I'm almost there. I'm gonna do it. So we hope by December we will both have ours, but it's a really good opportunity for our students to get that and then to be able to give back. And the whole thing, it's just centered around community. So they're not getting it for themselves to say like, look at me, look what I've done. It's to help the school and further their opportunity for what they would say their younger brothers and sisters. So it's really good to see that. So here's our teachers. For this year, like I said, we added about another, doubled our teachers. So we spent our summer break, you could call it, interviewing hundreds of teachers. We had over 200 applicants, and we went through and got to see them online and in person, and then this was the final group we came up with. Okay, so we are over there teaching. I think both of us can agree this is what we would love to be doing the most. I was a teacher in Australia, like I said, and I was head of faculty there, but I didn't really enjoy that. And I thought, great, I'll go to Thailand and do teaching, and I won't have to worry about all the other things. But you'll see soon. But as teachers, we start at 7:30 and go until 5:30. This year, because of so many students, we had to do a double shift. So we have our kindergarten to grade 11 at 7:30. They go until 12:30, and then from 12:30 to 5:30, our grade 12 students with the university level. And then some of the higher level university students start also studying in the morning. So for Brandon and I, we teach from 7:30 to 5:30 every day. We have, these are some of the questions people ask. So there's about 45 to 55 minutes in each period that the students learn. And in each classroom, we have about 30 to 40 students. But for Brandon, when he teaches, he'll put 3 classes together so he can have 100 or more students in his classroom at one time, just so we can accommodate for all the students that we have. And then some of the questions we get often are, what do you teach? What do you teach them? And we teach English, but we're also teaching them university subjects, so academic research, critical thinking. Brandon does public speaking to really get them confident to be able to talk in front of others. Okay, so we have the teaching. That's what we love to do. That's my passion, and I know Brandon's passion. But we have both been blessed, I guess you could say, with administrative responsibilities as well. So Brandon is in charge directly of 1,000 of those students. So he's the director of higher education. And as well as teaching 41 periods a week, he has to figure out schedules, timetables, room timetables, teacher timetables for all of those students. He does an amazing job. For me, I like to be in the background. I'm not really a front of the group type of person, but Brandon does an awesome job of just organizing 1,000 students to be able to do amazing things. So he also has 30 teachers that he looks after. I'm one of those teachers, so Brandon is my boss over there. And I'm not complaining, he's a good boss. Okay, but he also does student government and committees, and this is a passion that I can see from when I first came over, that he was very passionate about the students taking responsibility, gaining leadership skills, and being able to serve their communities. So these student government, student committees that serve the community, Brandon is the drive behind that. And this is all of the stuff that he's responsible outside of planning 40 lessons in a week. For me, I sit at my desk more. I'm responsible for the money side of it. I also didn't ask for this. This is a lesson to never miss a meeting. I missed a meeting, and I came back and I was told, you're in charge of finances for the school. And at that time, it was okay. We had a couple hundred students. We didn't have a lot of money. But now, at the moment, it's a little bit overwhelming. But I just wanted to show you kind of the school needs, I guess, in the structure of the fees for the students in the dorms. So I've converted it into US dollars. Over there, they use baht, so you can see on my bed, I don't know how many thousands of baht that is. But we ask the students to pay a school fee. Now, this is something that we don't go and ask them again and again. If they can pay it, they pay it. If they can't, that's okay, they can still study. So we don't force them to pay, but a lot of them are able to, and if not, they'll come and talk to us, and we understand. So for the students, for a whole year, this is for a whole year of studying, they would pay $85 to $140. If they're living in the dormitory, they would pay an extra $140 for the year. And that's where they'll have a place to sleep, and then they get the meals for their day as well. For our school, looking at, now my finance brain is turned on, so looking at a business, from a business point of view, we're not obviously trying to raise money, we're just trying to survive the year and have enough money to last. And so if we're looking at our major expenses, these are from last year. This year we grew another 1,000 students and 50 teachers. But our teacher salaries for the year, we try to pay them for 10 months. Since I've been there, we haven't been able to pay the full 10 months ever, so it's kind of a ministry for our teachers as well. But that's about 160,000 US dollars for the year. And then we are developing our school continuously. As you can see, we are growing, so we need more buildings and stuff. So that's 100,000. And then school supplies and further study support to help those teachers who are getting their masters to gain accreditation. So in total, our school would last year spent around $350,000 to run a school for 2,000 students to get education, which is really cool. I hadn't converted it, and it was really interesting for me to see that. So we do teaching, we do administrative roles, and then we have everything else. And in here, there are just a lot of different opportunities for our students that we end up being involved in. So in the top left at the moment, this man here is from Canada. Global Neighbors is his organization, and he's just helped us purchase a block of land where we're hopefully going to build our university higher education buildings on it. And so we have to go to meetings and give input and meet with the builders and the architects to kind of design that. So it's really exciting, but again, overwhelming at times as well. Just next to it, when I came, Brandon brought me in on this, but he's been an integral part of the curriculum development for Karen. So we go to meetings and help try to develop the curriculum that's being taught, because again, in their language, there aren't a lot of resources, so we have to try and help them develop that. The next photo, the man there that you see in the front who is taking the selfie, his name is Robert, and he does a Bible study for students in Chiang Mai. And he has been working with Thum Wiki for years, and he invites our students up and does like a week-long Bible study with them in English in a level that they understand. And it's always the highlight of any of their school from the BLA program. They love to go to that the most. So we have to drive 6 hours and drop them off and then drive 6 hours back. So our weekends sometimes are spent driving them back and forth. And then other than that, like, we're just there to be with our students, to counsel them, to mentor them. It's a community base, so it's not uncommon for me to be working on my lesson plans at 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, and then a student comes and they need help with something or they want something from me. So all the other pictures kind of just show the students asking for help. Oh, on Facebook, I laughed because that was this morning, 7:40 this morning. Even though I'm over here, they can get a hold of me. And then Brandon got this message as well. They just want us to encourage them. And it's awesome because they ask for it and we can help them like that. The primary students here, you can see this is how they line up. And both of us teach the higher education students. We teach them how to teach the primary. So we're able to teach our students, and then they're responsible to go and teach in the mornings at 7:30 for the primary students. So we have a lot of responsibilities, but we love it, and we love being there, and we love being able to serve God in that aspect. And it looks different than I ever thought it would as a missionary. Like, I was always very interested in missions, but I'm just thankful that God can use me in the gifts He's given me in a place like that. So it's really good for me to be able to just give back a little bit of what God's blessed me with. So now Brandon will talk about the goals of our school.
Okay. This would normally be the time in the presentation where I'd sing a song or something, but I don't have anyone to play, so that's what I did when I said I spoke for 3 hours at the Korean church. It was like, speak for 30 minutes, like, oh, okay, let's sing a song. But anyway, you can see how important she is. Like, she's the one who gets stuff, who makes sure stuff gets done. I'm the one who will, like, go in front of the students, come on, you gotta try for your goals. You gotta do this, you gotta do that, you gotta do this. And then the next day, teacher, did you do that? Oh, I forgot, I'll do it tomorrow. Oh, I forgot. I tell that to students too many times, but she's the one who has steadily kept us moving forward. Because if you think, like, anything you're doing, especially after the couple years of COVID, we lost our mojo. We lost all of our groove. And then, okay, we got 1,000 students. Let's do this. And we struggled that whole year. Okay, we're getting a handle on things like attendance, things like making sure the students do their homework, getting the students set up with internships, all of that. Like, okay, we got a handle on this. We got this. And then, oh yeah, by the way, next year we're having an extra 1,000. And then this year, another 1,000, and we don't have classrooms. We have to start early. We have to go the whole day. It's been definitely a challenging thing, but we haven't wavered. We haven't lost our ultimate goals. We haven't changed what we're trying to do, and we count it all joy, to borrow from Paul. Count it all joy when we have to face these problems. Count it all joy when we have 1,000 extra students, because 1,000 extra students means those students will be able to go and replicate the things that we're doing. So it's very important for us that we are part of the school. We are not the reason for the school. We are not the founders of the school. We're just I'm just a monkey. She's not really a monkey. I'm just a monkey who's passionate about the school. And so I'm going to go quickly through the goals. Just if you're not familiar or if you've heard them, listen to them again, because this is the heartbeat of what our school is. So the first one, because our students have had to face this, some of our students have had to run from bombs, facing the conflict, we want them to feel like at this school, we care about you not just as a student, not just for what you can do in the classroom, but as a person. So like Jess was saying, all the time. Like sometimes we want to hit them, but we open our doors all the time. Like we get people coming at 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. Like, teacher, this was like, I'm not making this up. A couple, because I'll always say like, oh, when I was a student at university, my parents couldn't support me. I didn't have a lot of money, and I got help from this and that. So whenever you need anything, don't be shy about it, because they get there's a special word for it in Korean, like ana. It means like you feel bad that you're imposing on someone. So like anything you need, just don't worry, come and ask for it. Even if you're a naughty student, give it to you. And then there's this one kid who keeps showing up. Like, at first I didn't recognize him. The first time I was like, teacher, I don't have anyone to support me about the school fee. You saw the school fee. So for that, it's easy. Like, okay, just when you go, you can say my name or say Teacher Jessica's name. And then she keeps the list, so that's easy. But the next week, he's like, teacher, I need to buy a shirt for school. It's like, okay. How much do you need? Okay, give it to you. Next week, teacher, I need underwear. I don't have any underwear. It's like, how much? He's like, oh, 40 baht. It's like $1. So I gave him like $5. It's like, okay, buy all the underwear you need. But it gets to that point. Like we want them to feel like they can come to us for everything, because we know that we've been blessed. We grew up with really strong families. Like every need was provided for us, and they're separated from their families. Some of them, I'll show you pictures later, like 7 or 8 years old, they're staying away from their families with older siblings or just in the dormitory. We want them to feel like this is a safe place where they can feel nurtured, where they have people that love them. Even though they're not near their mommies and daddies, they have people who love them like their mommies and daddies. So that's why a lot of the students will call us mother and father. Like in the video, they said, oh, we miss you so much, mommy, but we don't want to be single like you. No. So it's very much like a family dynamic. Okay, so that's one of the goals. We want them to feel supported, but also we want them to feel like, because of this opportunity that they've gotten, because our school represents like the 1%. That's like the 1% of Korean people who have access to higher education. So their higher education is not just for them, it's for who? Pay it forward. So even during the summer, we have as much as we can, because if there's fighting, we don't want to send people out into the conflict areas, but as much as we can, we have our students, like 5 or 6 of them, they go to a village for a week or a month or 2 months, and they're teaching there. They're teaching dances, they're teaching Bible, they're teaching Korean language for kids who don't know their own language, how to read and write. Whatever they can teach, whatever skill they have, we want them to be able to use it. So while they're free in summer, but also in the school. So they all have to be a part of a different committee, because we don't have staff, we don't have janitors, we don't have handymen, we don't have all the things that school, we don't have school lunch ladies. Like all of that our students do, and they're part of the groups working together to do that. So leadership is a very essential part. And I wanted to say this, I thought I was going to forget it, but I have my old English teacher, Mrs. Grilly, here, and I tell my students all the time, because I teach public speaking now, and they're all terrified because they have to speak in another language. It's not just public speaking in their language. We start in their language, but we go to English, and they're terrified. Like, they're shaking, they're looking at the ceiling, like everything. Just think about how terrified you were the first time you had to do that. And I always tell them the story when I was in Mrs. Grilly's class, and I had to speak about World War II or something, and my body was like convulsing. Like, I remember how terrified I was in a classroom, just like shaking like that. And now, like, every day, like, I wake up, I go stand in front of 1,000 kids and like say something. It's like second nature to me. So that's the encouragement that I give to them. Like, you can do the things that you never thought you could do, the skill that you don't think you have, the thing that you never imagined that you would do, you will be able to do if you set your mind to it. So we try to have a very positive attitude, because there's not a lot of outside encouragement. Like, if you look at the situation, you look at what's happening politically, you look at the war, you see the airplanes with your own eyes, there's not a lot of reasons for hope. So you have to find that motivation, because there's not a certain future for them. They have to make the future. So I like this one, because he's not like a super naughty student, but he's not very talkative in class. He's like kind of like a tough guy, like a meathead a little bit, but Look at him. He went during the summer. Now he's like a babysitter. So I just love to see the transformation because it's not just about learning. It's about doing. So everything should have that practical aspect to it. Okay? And like Jess said, we're trying to raise the standard of education because we are the Karen University, our school, and then there's another school that has about 40 students. We represent the higher education of Karen people at an international level. And of course, we're not there yet. Like, you're not going to get the same education at our school that you're going to get at a university in America. But with what we have to work with, I think we're doing a pretty good job. And that's what we're pushing for. That's why we studied last year. We taught until 4 and then studied from 5 to 8 every night during the weekdays to get our master's. And we're almost there, but we still have to do our silly thesis. And we're gonna get there, but like that's the goal. We want to have that, not because we need someone to recognize us, but because we want the students to believe like, okay, this is something that I got. Because they also, for them as a people group, they don't have their own land that they can call their own. They don't have a chance to say like, this is my education, because the other governments don't recognize it. But for us, we see all the needs, and how are those needs going to be filled if our students don't fill those needs? So for a long time, we've had the 3 majors here. Jessica is the Dean of Education. Also, she's the treasurer. Like, I give her a new title every week because I'm always giving her extra work. But she's the Dean of Education. We have 2 of our graduates are the leaders of the social and political science. And then our medical program is brand new, just 2 months now. We have a couple from Myanmar, from the city, who were doctors there, but they had to flee because there was more and more violence even in the city. And they were starting to transcript people to join the Myanmar military. So they were going to have to fight against their own people. So they came to us, and we've been wanting to do this for so long because it's really hard. The rural, remote areas, they don't have access. Like a lot of villages, they have to like walk through the mountains for 2 or 3 days to get to the nearest clinic even, let alone hospital. So we need health workers to go into these places and to like one of our dreams is like to make like Swiss Army knives. So like there's a lot of remote villages that are like a day's walk away from any civilization, just because in the mountains the roads are not really reliable. So during the rainy season especially, you can't get to there easily. So we need someone who can teach in the school. We need someone who can open a small clinic. We need someone who can be a pastor in the church. We need someone who can be a farmer as well. So we try to give them as many skills as they can master, because they're going into an uncertain, and they don't know what they're going to have to do when they get there. So the medical is a dream, and also for engineering for the long term. We're thinking 10, 20, 30 years down the road. We want to start building a foundation so we can start to build the society on that. Because if we wait for peace, when is peace going to come? We have to build peace. We have to build capacity. So that's also a very strong driving force for our students, to give them the skills to be able to go. And then, of course, because of their cultural identity, I tell Karen people all the time, like, it has to be that God has chosen them. Because for the amount of hardship and persecution and discrimination, and people, the Burmese army, even the Thai government has been really slow to even recognize them. It's much better in Thailand, but for the amount that they've had to face, but how strong they are even today, has to be God's doing. So I truly believe that we're part of that heritage. Even before Judson, we heard the story of the lost book of Yahweh, and we're privileged to be a part of that. So also the culture, the dance, the food, but also the values, the hospitality, the love for family, the community aspect of it. That's something that we want to help preserve and promote around the world. So these are our dancers. If you come to visit us, you'll get to see a big dance. Very, very exciting. And the music at first is a little bit odd to our ears, but like they're really, really proficient now. Okay, and I had to put something a little bit crazy. If you look a little closer, you can see they all have like goop on their faces. Every year we do like a welcoming thing, and it's like one of those things. It's not like quite to the level of hazing, but it's like when you're a freshman and you come in, you have to eat gross stuff and you have to dance and you have to do that. So the next year when you're a sophomore, you're going to make sure the freshmen have to do more than you do. And now it's just gotten to the point where they have like a lollipop and they dip it in like gross stuff, and then everyone has to eat it one after another. We're gonna have to kind of tamp down on it for next year. But that for me, that represents the joy. That represents the joy that brought me to Thumwiki in the first place and keeps me there. Like no matter how hard it is, no matter how tired we are at the end of the day, like every morning when I go into class and I start talking to the students, that joy, even when Uncle Robin showed the videos, like I get to feel that joy. Like that's the special feeling. I think it can only come from God. Like I am where I'm meant to be. I'm where I'm supposed to be. This joy that survives when I want to slap them in the face, or I get tired, like the third person asks the same question, or like all the things that teachers face. Like you wake up in the morning, you have diarrhea, you drink coffee, but you have a headache. Like all those things happen, and then you just got to do it. You got to do it because that's what you're meant to do. And at the end of the day, it's like, oh, that wasn't such a bad day, but it started off terribly. So that's just the feeling that I get. Like every time I feel like I'm at the end of my rope, like that joy comes back. It's like a candle. Like it flickers, and sometimes there's just a tiny bit of flame left, but the flame is still there. And as long as the flame is still there, then it can come back again. So this is us. This is Thumwiki. This is, Jess said we're responsible for 1,000 students. This is our higher education program. So if they all stand up, we can fit in our biggest community hall. But if we sit down, it's not big enough anymore. And this is 1/3 of our student body. So imagine if we tried to cram everyone into there. And there's so many more things that we want to say, but the last thing I want to talk about, I just want to leave you with a couple names, people that we've mentioned in the past, or like we've done the VBS videos in the past, just give a little update about them. This is one of our students, because like I said, we're getting to the point where we need to start replicating. We need to start, like we've been doing it, like she said, more than half of our teachers are graduates, but we want to keep pushing our graduates. We want them to keep going, and the goal is that in the future we won't have to do anything because we can let them do everything. Now, so this is Wakolo. Like he's crazy for dancing. He loves to break dance and like really a little bit weird, but like really intense about a lot of things. But he's also intense about the gospel, and he's currently studying in Bible school at the master's program that's on our site. And he's in charge of the praise and worship dance group because he's so passionate about dancing. He thought, how can I use dancing for Christ? And that's what he decided. So he has a group. They practice dances the whole week. Every Wednesday, they do some kind of dance performance as part of the worship service. And he's also like teaching every summer. He's just like the perfect representation of what we want our students to be. We want them to be unique individuals. We want them to have passions, and we want them to use those passions in whatever way they can for the community. Okay, next one is my friends. Now, you saw in the video, Peace Stone, he's probably been in every video for the past 5 years, but like 2 days before we came back, the little dummy, his ball got stuck on top of the school, and he climbed onto the school roof, and the roof is just like this thin. Now, it's made out of some kind of cement sheet, and he fell through and broke his femur. So he has been in bed for the past month since we've been here. I talked to him a couple of days ago. He's feeling fine, but he can't go anywhere because the femur is a pretty incapacitating bone. So hopefully he'll be more active by the time we get back. This one I put mostly for my mom because I see how much time she spends with her swimming pool. And our kids also like swimming pools. So during the summer, like it's hot, we played with water balloons. Like there's a lot of kids around, like teachers' kids and some kids who can't go back during the summer. So we wanted to, I got them like a kiddie pool. The kiddie pool filled up. I bought another kiddie pool. You can see that there. Put them side by side. And they weren't satisfied, so they started swimming. When I wasn't there, they started swimming in the baptismal because it was deeper. So I was like, I have to do something. So I bought this one. It's a little bit deeper, but still kind of safe. And every day during the summer, it was full of little kids. And then here, the last time we were here, the church, you were generous enough to buy us motorbikes. So just to let you know, our child labor is keeping our motorbikes clean. They wanted to do that. I didn't force them. I didn't pay them either, so no laws were broken. Okay, and then this is Shining Star. She was in one of the VVS videos a couple years ago, but she lives there with her older sister. Her parents both passed away a few years ago, but she's been growing up with us and getting more and more confident. She's a little bit of a diva sometimes, but she's really sweet. And then Peace Stone used to live with Jessica in her house, but now lives with his mother nearby. His older sister is in our bachelor program. So it's all part, just a couple names. I figure Shining Star and Peace Stone. If you can't remember anything else, you can remember those names. So keep those names in mind when you think of who can you pray for, because Peace Stone. Also, I wanted to tell about Peace Stone, because he fell from, and there were like 5 of them with his friends. And I got back, I had just gone somewhere. I came back on my motorbike, and like, Peace Stone fell, Peace Stone fell. It's like, people fall all the time. Don't worry. No, come. And then went, and he's just like laying there on the desk, because it was a classroom, on the desk, and they're like, oh, are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. And then his friend's like, he pooped his pants. and he's like, well, yeah, when I fall down, it just came out. So he wasn't shy about that at all, but he smelled bad. So we picked him up and brought him to the hospital right away. And I was proud of that. He didn't cry at all, like a broken femur. He didn't cry. He pooped his pants. He didn't care. People made fun of him. He's a good kid, huh? He's a strong kid. Bradley, if you broke your leg and pooped your pants, would you cry? Yeah, probably. Okay. All right. So for people who want to get involved, now we every time we come back, we say, you can come and visit us. But until now, it's just been our parents. But if our parents can make it over there, then you guys can make it over there. Now, our parents are kind of old. Like if you... No, they have they're coming back in January, right? Or March? Yeah, sometime. But they got it down to a system now. It's like the first time my parents came over with Austin and Josiah, my 2 younger brothers. I just put them in the pastor's house, and it was like 90 degrees probably. They couldn't sleep for the first few nights. But now, like, if you can't sleep in the heat, don't worry. There's a nearby resort with aircon. And when I say resort, you think like, oh, resort's going to be expensive. It's like, what is it, like $18 a night? Like, yeah. So it's not expensive. It's a nice place. Kids are welcome. If your kids come, they'll probably want to stay, because it's a lot of fun. But if you're not at the point where you want to come and visit, that's fine. We're always looking for prayer. If you want to stay updated on the things that we're doing, our media is run by our students. Jessica does the website, so we usually only update it once every couple of years. If you want to know, like, up-to-date update. Because I did it before, and I didn't update it for 10 years. So every other year is really good. And then our Facebook page is where they're posting most of the, like at least once a week, they're posting something about some school activity or some pictures, so you can kind of say, oh, that's what he was talking about. Because I know every time I feel like it's such a big information dump, and I know it's really hard to absorb all of that at once. But we really appreciate how every time we come and get reconnected and people talk to us and smile, and we get to see our nieces and nephews getting older and older, and talking about coming to Thailand, might be coming to Thailand soon, right? Yeah, okay. So it's really, it just feels like as much as there is home, like definitely there is home, but here is still home. No, it's not like you get a new home and you lose your old home. Like, this will always be home to me. This podium is the podium where I sang Amazing Grace when I was 12 years old, because my mother made me and my voice cracked and I was so embarrassed. And then Uncle Robin, you remember here when I was the Civil War boy, you had to cut off my leg. Yeah. And then here, Jess was yelling, cows mad in Christmas, however many years ago. So as much as like things are changing here, and we're really encouraged by seeing the growth in this church and all the kids running around, it still feels like home for us. So we welcome everyone. This was part of our welcoming ceremony as well. Welcome everyone to volunteer or just to visit, or if you have important things. I don't know why I put that photo. That's just a normal day at Thumwinki. You put black stuff on your face and do that. And then the one thing I really want is the hope, the passion. That whenever I start to talk about it, like I said, like it's not like every day we wake up and like, oh, let's go to school. This is awesome. Yeah, I love it. No, like we get tired a lot. Like we complain to each other a lot, not about each other, to each other. Like if you had access to our chat line, there's a lot of stuff that we would be shy to say in front of you, but it's more like letting off a little steam because like for me, I know, and I'm sure for her as well, like in the entire time I've been there, I've never felt like, oh, I made a mistake. I shouldn't be here. I came to the wrong place. I've always felt like this is where God wants me to be. I've never felt like there's another place I need to go to. It just feels like I've been sent. And just like anything, like if it's worth doing, like you're going to have to face some trials. You're going to have to face some problems. And it's not like I feel like a motivational speaker. I'm pretty sure that I saw that on a cat poster. But it's not how you can't control what happens to you, but you can control how you react to it. So when I think about Karen people, I think about like all the things that have happened throughout history, and even now with our students when they have to face the problems, and to see how resilient they can be. And that gives me energy to continue to be resilient, because at any time, now I don't know how long I could do it, but at any time we could come and just live in our parents' basement for like we have that safety net. We can do that. But for our students, they don't have that. Like they're literally fighting for their futures and fighting for their lives. So if we're not willing to give our all for them, to sacrifice for them, then how can we expect them to do that as well? So it feels like we're all in this together. We're moving forward. We've been blessed beyond our imagination, beyond our comprehension, and we will continue to be blessed. So, Jess, would you like to say anything? Questions? I don't know. Yeah, are there any questions, Scotty? Altogether, we have 3,000 students and then 100 teachers, but the teachers also have families. So in the area, probably about 4,000 people altogether. But like, what grade are you in? Fourth grade. I think we have 120 in fourth grade, I think. So we have like 4 classes in fourth grade. Yes, Bradley? My favorite food. I don't want to say my favorite food because then you won't like me anymore. No, it's not. No, I don't like cat. It's the opposite of cat. No, I'll just say my favorite. I haven't had it that much, but like snake meat is really good. Honestly, not just for the gross out factor, but snake meat is really good. But most snakes don't have a lot of meat. But like Burmese pythons, they have like that much meat on them, and it's really good. So I will say snake. Yeah. Jess, what's your favorite food? Yellow beans. Have you ever seen a yellow bean before? Oh. There's no brief version, but for me, my brief version is I went to Africa. I got disillusioned. I was searching for what God wanted me to do. I went to Wheaton College. I met Karen people. And then I just fell in love with Karen people and their culture and kind of followed them to where they came from, and have been following that ever since. And then Jess.
Brendan asked me to go, and I went.
She wins. Yeah, Jess was in Australia for like 8 years, and then I visited her, and I said she had to visit me, and so she came to visit, and then she stayed. So she visited the first time, and she got dengue, so she thought, oh, maybe next time I'll get a more serious disease. So she came back. Yes, Gus? Least favorite food? Okay, this one I can be completely honest with. It's not quite a monkey. It's like a possum and a monkey mixed. I don't even know what we call it in English, but they hunt it in the jungle, and then I don't know if you know about anatomy, but you have a small intestine and a large intestine, and they take the thing that is in your large intestine, I think grown-ups will know what that is, and they squeeze it into the pot, then they cut up the meat and put it in the pot with whatever was in your large intestine, and then cook it and eat it. And it smells like, it smells like it sounds. That's one, like, I do not understand. Like, everything else, I understand, like, how they like the taste. Even, like, in America, every place I've gone in New York, I went to visit Karen people. They had coyote meat, and it was great. In like everywhere else, they have squirrel meat, and they love it. Like squirrel, everyone wanted to give me squirrel for some reason. The ones who live in America. So like, although like the small game and stuff, I understand, but for the one where they cook it in their own fluids, I don't understand. It's gross. Huh? Yes. Okay, any other questions? Yes? My favorite animal? Over there or in the world? In the world. I like tigers. There's a lot of tigers in zoos in Thailand. They used to, well, we're not that from, they say there's wild tigers like in the jungle, but I haven't been to like the jungle, because Korean people like to hunt, so like any animals, any near village, you're not going to find a ton of animals because they've eaten them all. But they say there are tigers in the jungle, so that's what I would say. For Jess?
In the world? Sea otter.
Sea otter.
I don't live in Thailand.
But they also, Thailand is famous for elephants. So if you come and visit us, we're like 10 minutes away from an elephant farm, or there's like just elephants you can go and play with and ride on, and they give you high fives and stuff. It's pretty cool. I had a friend when I first went. He was a pastor, but he said when I was a young man, I used to ride an elephant. I didn't like it. I said, really? Why not? He's like, oh, because it smelled bad. It's like, oh yeah, I guess so. Elephants kind of smell bad. But it's part of like a long history of Karen culture. They're the ones who like taught elephants how to carry logs out of the forest. Like a lot of her housemate used to have an elephant, but it died. So elephant is like, that's how you used to know. Now it's a little bit different, but you used to know in the past, if a family was rich, it meant they had an elephant. If you have an elephant, because you can do a lot of things. But now there's more like cars and stuff. Good questions. I see one more question. My least favorite animal, mosquito. That one's easy too. Oh, no. I would say mosquito, but centipede probably. Snake. Yeah, she knows everything about snakes, and she really likes to do research about snakes. But there's a lot of scorpions and centipedes that I really don't like either. But mosquitoes are probably more dangerous because they give you disease. But the mosquitoes there, like here, there's only one mosquito. The one kind of mosquito. It's like big and dumb. So they're really easy to kill. But over there, they have like ninja mosquitoes, and like they have the big dumb mosquitoes, but they also have mosquitoes you can barely see. So sometimes you get like bit 10 times and you don't even see the mosquito. Yeah, Gus? In the jungle? It's really hot and humid, but it's really cool. Like there's waterfalls everywhere. Like every village has a waterfall. I'm not even lying about that. There's a lot of waterfalls. Like it's a lot of bamboo, and sometimes if you like to go, it's like the woods here. Like if you go in the woods right here, there's no path. It's really hard to get through. But if people live there, they'll like cut a path in it, so it's not that hard to get into. But I went into the jungle a while ago, and I almost fell down a waterfall. But my friend saved me. I was crossing a river just above the waterfall over a log, but the water was coming over the log, and so I was going really, really slowly, and then I tried to reach for my friend, and I fell, and I was holding the log like this, and then I stood up, and the water was like this deep. But I thought I was in danger.
We'll close in just a moment, but a couple of things to encourage you. So first of all, you guys mentioned coming to visit you. Is there a good time to come visit because of your schedules?
There's no good time.
No good time?
Just the time, then we can work around.
Okay, very good.
But the best time is probably like November to February, March, like that.
So winter here?
It's too hot, yeah.
Okay, it's cooler there.
Probably good for people here too.
Okay.
Our
And
cold season is like, it gets down in the low 70s.
yes, okay. And that's strong encouragement. If you have the means to do that, you will catch a vision for what they're doing. You'll see it in action. You'll know these people. And you guys are not little Brandon and Jessica anymore. And one day they'll need to be replaced, and love to see our children consider giving your life to the sake of Christ and the nations. And a good way to do that is come visit them. They told us how to support them on ways to pray, and that would be good to be communicating with them to find out how, and we'll do that in a moment. But I noticed you guys didn't have anything about giving. Are you guys like rich somehow, or secretly wealthy? Is there like oil in Thailand or something? Maybe, yeah. So they're quiet. They're uncomfortable. They're uncomfortable talking about this, perhaps, but. And I don't know how many.
Can I say something? Yeah, I just want to say to that, like, we're not like, we don't know how to do that. We don't know how to ask for money, because the church has always provided above and beyond what we need. And like, we usually just ask our parents, or our parents kind of pick up on what we need.
So in all seriousness, our church has been blessed to be able to care for them, but and the display of faith and living not for this world, for another, is just a joy to know about you both. But it would always benefit for us to consider their current income and even their future retirement someday. So if there's ways you want to give $10 a month or $50 a month or something, you can talk to Sherry. We didn't talk, but would that be okay? And interact with that as we think of ways to get the money right over to them. So, but giving is substantial, and honestly, even the giving just to the institution, if you want, I'm sure you wouldn't mind that, but to give to the school itself. So, well, let's pray together. And I say that it's been a long time, but would you pray? We'll pray short, but just pray with me. Let's pray together and storm the gates of heaven together. Father, thank you that you hear us through Christ. That this is not some religious duty or weird thing we do to close our eyes and start talking, but we know you are God who hears. And Lord, whether that be here or in Thailand or throughout the globe, that you are a God on mission to showcase your redemptive love. I pray for Brandon and Jessica's health physically. Would you keep them safe and healthy? We pray for their health spiritually, that their heart for you, their desire to enjoy you would continually grow. We pray for even their school and their education, that you'd give them strength to continue. But all of us pray together that you would bless them, that you would keep them, that you would cause your face to shine on them, give them grace and peace, and bless their labors. Show them sweet fruit in the gospel and in for the good of Thailand and for Myanmar, and that you would bless them, especially with their work with the Karen people. So thank you for the time. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.